Welcome to the first Friday reads of the year, and if you hear banging, I apologize. They have been doing construction nonstop, and I need to film this. I want to film this. I have been waiting to film. I wanted to film yesterday when the sun was out, and it was really nice, but it was even louder construction noises then, so what are you gonna do? But if you're new here, this is where I talk about what I'm reading, what I finished, what I hope to get to next. I kind of check in every week. Sometimes I talk about other stuff in my life. It's a very informal, casual sort of thing. And I have finished one book, so we'll talk about that. And I am in the middle of a lot of books, probably too many, but I'm thriving. I'm doing great. We'll see if I forget any of them, because I should make notes, but I don't. But the one I finished was All Systems Red. This is the first Murderbot. I read it for my patrons. They already have their vlog. Oh my goodness. The hype was good for me. The hype was real for me. I loved this book. This was great. Murderbot is the most relatable protagonist of all time. And I'm not even saying that in terms of most relatable non-human protagonist, because they're not human. No, I relate to so much of Murderbot. Not in the sense that I don't want to actually kill people, and people don't actually, I think, annoy me as much as they do Murderbot, but the way I read their character, I'm like, oh man, you and I, we have similar social anxieties. I can totally get you wanting to decompress, and look at you doing at least a little bit above average of work because you want to do okay work, and then being like, and that's all you are owed from me. I want to do my own thing. I like Murderbot's energy. I vibe with Murderbot's energy. And then the actual story itself felt like an episode of sci-fi TV that I love. It reminded me of Doctor Who episodes I really enjoy. So all in all, it was fun. I'm excited to read other adventures. Also really liked the ending. There were choices made that I really liked. So finally, it's been years. I have read the first Murderbot. I've done it, and I liked it. Joyful. Great first read of the year. Fantastic. Another thing I am loving, because let's just keep the good energy going, Paper Menagerie by Ken Liu. I am 100 pages in now. I think we've read 5 stories up to this point, because now the buddy read has grown. There's a channel in my Discord, and Evie, Abby, and I are still voxering messages. It's so fun, and this has potential to be as good, if not better for me, than Exhalation. Because right now, I don't have a story that I did not enjoy thoroughly. And the last story I read, it punched me in the gut. And it was only 35 pages. How do you do that? There's been so far a good combination of thought experiment stories, and there was a cool fantasy story, and then this last one was it honestly was very light magical story. It was honestly more just a historical story. That's the one that it got me. And his love of language is so prevalent on the page, and I love how he forms sentences, and I love how things feel so deceptively simple and predictable, and then they're not predictable, or suddenly a thing that I thought was oh yeah, that's simple, that'll leave my brain after I finish it. I'm thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it. So I'm really excited because this has the potential to be a favorite author of all time. I am loving this collection. I'm glad I bought the hardback, which has the nice little bookmark. I only bought the hardback because I don't like paperbacks with the insets, because I have very strong opinions about those. But this is going great. I'm loving it so much. The next story is one I remember. If I remember right, there are some daddy issues in it, because that's another thing. He's really good at incorporating family stuff, which in the first 4 or 5 was only in 1 so far, but the other 2 I've read were very family driven stories. So I'm ready for that. So that's really good. So now a whole bunch of stuff that I'm reading. The audiobook is still The Mountains Sing. Loving it. I will for sure have it done in the next couple days, because I only have 2.5 hours left. I'm enjoying listening to it while knitting. This is a really well-crafted historical fiction in terms of being an engaging story about survival, but also being a harrowing story about war, but also a family generational trauma story. It has all of these things, and it balances it with a really digestible writing style. When I'm supposed to feel the weight of the story, I do. But it's not always there. You're not always under this rock, because it's about the Vietnamese War, which is a lot. And it's not just the Vietnamese War. It's about, I think it starts in the 30s, and we're going maybe into the 80s or 90s. It spans the 20th century, so it's more than just the French and U.S. part of the Vietnamese War. There's more going on here. There's actually also the Civil War that happened and everything else. And we follow a family that used to be rich in Vietnam and then what happened after the Land Reform Act, etc. And primarily, like, the main characters are the present day young child and the grandmother of that child. And we follow both of their timelines. And the grandmother is fascinating. I love watching her have to make these hard decisions and how she survives. I'm really enjoying it. There are moments when I think, oh, this is like really easy to get through, and then until it's not easy to get through, and I think its balance there is really good and makes it a more enjoyable story than it would have been if it was just about all of the dark stuff all the time, which it's not like it shies away from the dark stuff either. It's just more palatable for me. So it's like my weight of how I want a war story sort of thing. So that's going really great. That's for book club on Monday. It's going to be fantastic. So that's the audiobook. And then on my Kindle, I'm reading 3 things, and they're very different from each other. So, for some reason, my depression flared up, and when my depression flares up in the winter, all I want to do is read a Sarah J. Maas book. They're say what you want about her writing, about if it's trash, if things are tropey and bad in the world building, whatever. Say what you want. The sentences are really easy to read, and it's really easy to just fall into the very predictable formulaic story. So I started my reread of House of Earth and Blood because I like this book. And it's not like one of my favorite fantasy books of all time. I don't think I could ever put it on that list. Although, for me, it is one of her better world-built worlds, and for once she's sort of subverting things that she kind of did not subvert in Of Court of Thorns and Roses and stuff. But on a whole, I'm really not going to give it that much credit. I'm here for Bryce and her going through trauma and, like, the romance, angsty, will they, won't they, and stuff. And the second book comes out in February, and I'm going to read it. So, because if my depression gets bad in January, it, like, hits the floor in February. Like, I hate February so much. But yeah, so that reread started like at the end of December. So I read that at night before bed, or when like last night, I really didn't want to do anything, so I read that. But the reason why I say these other 2 are like completely opposite of that is the other one's Midnight Tides, which is like the opposite of world building of Sarah J. Maas. Like, it's the whole other direction. So this book is like far in the past of the first 4 that I've read, and it's my favorite so far. It's so good. I have met some of my favorite characters of all time. I love the world building of it all. I love how things are connected to what I have read, but also are just like the origin stories of what I have read. And then we're just on a new continent with new people. It's fun. It's great. I'm having a great time. The political intrigue is great. The plans that people are making is so much fun. I'm having a great time. I started my spoiler vlog for that. I read book 1. So in a Malazan book, there's like 4 books normally, except for the first book, which has like 6. So it's split into like parts, but they're called books. I don't know. So I'm hoping to read book 2 before the next check-in. Because if I do that, I'll finish it by the end of the month, but I don't rush them either. So if I feel like I don't want to, I just won't. But like I said, very different from a Sarah J. Maas book. And then I'm reading The Ark for Goliath. And this is probably the one that I am liking the least right now. This is the one that's the most work for me. I've read 50 pages, I'm pretty sure. I have The Ark, so I have to base it off like the projected publication pages and my percentages. But I think I'm about 50 pages in. And this is a book that will work really well for people who I think have a very good vocabulary and really like the writing style of this author. So there are things where I sometimes don't like when a sentence has 3 words that I don't know. Like, I'm fairly well read. Like, I don't think I have the best vocabulary in the world, but I am fairly well read. And when I have to look up one word once every couple pages, that's fine. But if I have to do it multiple times in a paragraph to get the atmosphere that's being portrayed, I'm like, okay. Because I'm not always convinced that that was the right word, but that's, that's art. Interpret it how you will. Someone will love that. Like, that's just not me. Now, removing myself from the writing style, which has been hard. Like, this has been a very dense writing style for me that has reminded me a lot of classic sci-fi writing, which isn't necessarily bad for some people. Like, I was being reminded of Hyperion and of Philip K. Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. Like, I was being reminded of a lot of the greats in terms of their writing style, especially with this, it's very slow-paced kind of world character study. I don't have a sense of the plot yet. I'm 50 pages in. I've even read the synopsis to see if it would give me one, and so far it's pretty much what I'm seeing. I think we're just looking into this moment in this world where most people live in the colonies and some people still live on Earth, which is very radiated and hard to live on. And there are lots of themes that are being explored through the lenses of these different characters. But I haven't really connected to any of the characters, and the atmospheric writing has been hard for me, but I do get a very heavy feeling of despair, and not even really dystopian, but kind of the vibe that I get with Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, where everyone is just kind of in this place of stasis and just like, what is there to do? Like, it's very intentional. I'll give the work that. Everything it's doing is extremely intentional, and I can always get behind that. But from an entertainment perspective, it has moments where I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm in it. I've gotten used to the writing, and then it goes right back into me being like, I'm struggling. So this just might not be the right author for me. I think he's just maybe has a better vocabulary than I can handle, you know, like, and that's just how it is sometimes. Like, I mean, even having it on the Kindle where you can just tap the word, it just really takes me out of the story. Because most of the time, if I don't know a word, I read a lot of fantasy and sci-fi where made up words are used. I just keep going. But like I said, it's when it's so much of it. It's very dense. It's a very densely written, slow-paced, meandering story so far. So I think I'm going to give it another 50 to 100 pages, see if it, like, connects with me. I'm not even going to say pick up. Like, I don't know if plot's the point of this, but if I connect with it more. But if not, I might just DNF it. I'm not, you know, I feel like I know enough to know why it doesn't work for me, but it might work for other people. So I'm not going to force myself to read a book that I don't love or don't enjoy experiencing. Normally I would say, what am I going to pick up next? But like, I have to finish all of these. But I will say that what I might pick up next after, if Goliath doesn't work for me, it might be a different sci-fi, and that might be Ursa Major, and get myself back into the more like adventure sci-fi mode, because I have been loving reading sci-fi again. Like, it has been nice, because I always end up going really heavy into fantasy at the end of fall, and I don't know why. It just happens. So, but it's been a strong start to the year. So far, I'm having a lot of fun. And so if you saw my goals video, you know I'm going to do more lives more often, and that's happening soon. Not this weekend, but next weekend. Jess Owens and I are going to have reading sprints on the weekend on this channel, and they're going to be officially for our book club for nonfiction mediocre, but I might be reading something else. But you can read that book for the book club or read whatever you want. It's just going to be a fun time hanging out, reading books, chatting about nonsense. And I mean, when it's Jess and I, it'll probably be a lot of like really off-topic stuff. Our Voxer conversations go like 5 different directions within like 2 minutes. So it'll be a lot of fun. So I'm really excited for that. So that's happening. And also a thing that is potential on the horizon is my friend Judith is hosting an Anna Marie McLemore read-along. That announcement actually just went up on Wednesday. And I'm not going to be reading every book because I can't read a book a week like she can. She's just fantastic. But I am going to join in for a few of them, and we might do a discussion on her channel. So keep your eye out for that. I'll definitely update when we do something. But I've been wanting to read more by that author because I loved Dark and Deep as Red, which is everyone's like least favorite book. So I think it can only go up for me from here, even though like I loved that book. So I might read Blanca y Roja, or I might read Wild Beauty. I haven't decided. And I'm waiting for NetGalley to let me read Lake Lore. Like, NetGalley, look at me. Give me the arc. But those are things that are potentially on the horizon. I hope you've had a good start to the year, that you're taking care of yourself, that you aren't too hard on yourself, etc. You know, self-care is important. That's like my only New Year's resolution, is like when I need self-care to take care of myself, whatever that means. All right, if you want to leave an emoji, leave a tiger for the paper menagerie, because this is truly the winner of the year so far. Or a robot for Murderbot, because that lived up to my hype, and that's like impressive. And like, if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.